tuning in today. Today I'm going to talk about something that like really influenced the way that we think about things over here at Scholar's Voice. And that is, I want to talk about voice. Okay, so one, like let's just start from the writer's perspective, right? Like from the writing perspective, voice is that kind of unique characteristic of the way that your writing sounds, right? That can be like what we mean by voice from like the English major perspective. But I want to talk about voice in terms of getting your voice heard in the world and how writing and publishing is really the most, I don't know, I want to say it's the most kind of institutionally acknowledged avenue to get that voice out. It is absolutely not the only way. But what I want to talk about today is how getting those scholarly publications out can really help you. The process of getting those scholarly publications out can really help you to do other kinds of impactful work in the world that amplify your voice and your way of thinking even more. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Kathy Mazak, and I am a writing and career coach for academics. And I am really excited to talk about voice today because we named our whole company Scholar's Voice because we felt like this was such an important way to look at the academic work of writing and publishing, right? I know that a lot of people, we have this kind of common shared beliefs about the fact, I guess, that writing and publishing, not writing, publishing peer-reviewed articles, and in some fields, books, is the currency of academia and like what that means. It is a currency because you can do a lot of publications, get a lot of publications out there, and if you place them in the quote-unquote right journals, then you can, they count, I'm putting lots of things in air quotes, they count in a certain way for tenure and promotion. And I think that's the way that a lot of people think about scholarly publishing, especially early career. It is cloaked in fear. It is like, I better do this or else I'm not going to kind of make it out here in these academic streets and I'm not going to get promoted. And I don't want to say that that's not true because in a lot of ways, like it absolutely is true. Of course, different institutions are different. So how many, I'm also putting air quotes about how many and what kinds of peer-reviewed publications count for promotion is, up for debate and is often very not clear, which makes it even scarier to think about like, how do I get those publications out there? So I think a lot of people come to the struggles around writing and publishing from that perspective, right? Like, oh, well, I know I need to do this for promotion. The other reason, and it's a great reason that people come to the writing and publication struggle is, or who want to try to solve their struggle or make their struggle easier, is that they need these publications out for grant getting, right? Like this is another really important part of publishing. We need to show grant writing agencies that we are capable of doing the work and that we are capable of distributing the work in the platforms that are important to them. And in many situations, that's scholarly journals, right? Now, that is all part of it. Yeah, like that. And I don't want to like make that part of things, like I don't want to belittle that because it's important to like keep your job and it's important to get grants. Like those are important things. They help you to continue to do your work, right? And they also provide you with personal stability and the ability to like feel like I can go to work and I have a salary and things are stable, for me. But there's another layer, and it's like the more aspirational, inspirational layer that I really want to get to today. And that is this concept of amplifying your scholar's voice through writing and publication. So all of those promotion and grant getting things aside, the other thing that publishing in academic journals does for you is it inserts you into the conversation in a way that other kinds of academic communication just don't, right? So you can go and you can present at a conference, and absolutely that has influence. The people who are in the room with you while you're presenting, the people who read your abstract, they will think like, okay, this is an interesting idea. They might want to continue to follow your work and follow up with you. They might want to collaborate with you. There's lots of great things that come out of presenting and sharing your work that way. You could have a blog, right? Like you could be sharing your work through your lab's blog or website. You could have a podcast. You could do lots of different ways to like kind of get your voice out in the world. And also having the academic, the peer-reviewed publications out there gives you a certain kind of confidence and inserts you into the conversation in a way that those other things don't. So I don't want to say that like having your lab's blog out there talking about what you're doing in your lab is not important, or that if you have a podcast and you're talking, obviously a podcast is I'm the first one to say that it's like a great way to reach a lot of other academics. And also the peer-reviewed publications are a powerful way to do so as well, because you are putting your mark out there in this very particular kind of world, which is the academic publishing world, which has a certain kind of value, but also has a certain kind of audience, right? So when you're putting your peer-reviewed publications out there, the other people, they have a certain kind of weight for other researchers who are reading them. And so your voice gets a certain kind of impact in those kinds of conversations that it might not have in other places. Now, I think it's really important to have your voice in lots of places. And the one that most people are worried about when they find this YouTube channel or when they find our podcast is, how am I going to get my publications out in peer-reviewed journals, or how am I going to get my book out, or how am I going to get my scholarly work into scholarly venues, because I just don't have so much time. Like that's really the kind of initial thing that most people start with is like, I don't have enough time, or I don't know how to organize myself in order to get my publications out. And it just, if you've done data collection, you're sitting on almost done articles, you have something to say, and it's holding you back in your confidence as an academic to be sitting on those almost done things that just aren't out there. But when you can develop a writing practice that leads to publications, you will gain so much confidence knowing that you have mastered this aspect of being a scholar. There's so many ways to be a scholar. There's so many, different areas of focus that you can take. But this one is really important. It inserts you into that conversation, and it gets you that gives you that confidence boost to know that your thoughts are making knowledge. And that is just totally amazing. So I just want to talk a little bit about what it looks like to amplify your scholar's voice through publications and what it takes to do that. So let's start with the what it takes part. What it takes to do it is a writing practice. And in order to maintain a writing practice, you have to be really strategic with your time. You have to hold very firm boundaries. Probably you need to hold boundaries that are out of your comfort zone to hold initially. You will get more comfortable with holding boundaries, okay? You are going to need to strategically think about writing and publishing and how it relates to the other aspects of your career. So the academic career is multifaceted, right? We at least are doing teaching, research, and service. And many of us do other things besides that. And those three areas are diverse in what makes them up, right? So for you, you have to think about like what you have to learn how to place your writing as just as important as all those other urgent things that are pulling at you from teaching, research, service, right? So that that writing practice can lead to publications out in the world. Now, inside of our Navigate program, we talk about kind of 3 levels of academic publication planning that you need to be able to master or dominate, or you need to have skills in so that you can do just that, right? So that you can have a writing practice that gets publications out. The first level is your publication pipeline. And let me say too, because I really wanted this video to be like inspirational and aspirational, is that when you do the work that I'm talking about in this video and the work that we teach in our programs, your voice gets out there and your publication pipeline is flowing. So what that means is that you have publications at various stages of done in a pipeline that you have a very clear handle on, in a pipeline that makes sense for you and your career, that reflects your actual writing practice from idea through data collection, through analysis, through drafting and revising and publication. It reflects your actual practice. So you can feel really happy that you're like honoring your own practice when you create a pipeline like that. And then you have these tools that can move things through your pipeline, and you don't have big pipeline clogs in certain places. You have, like, you might every once in a while, but you know how to clear them so that you can keep this like flowing pipeline of work coming out into the world on some kind of cadence that you control and that makes sense for you depending on what you are focusing on in a certain moment in your career. So that's the top level. The second level is project level planning. So you really have to get great at project management of writing project management. All right. You have to know how to break a writing project down into tasks. You have to know how big those tasks should be for you. And you have to know how fast or slow, or what speed with no judgment, you can do those tasks. And that helps you become a very predictable planner of your projects, and predictable is better than fast every day. So you have your high level multi-project planning in the pipeline. You have your project level writing project planning, and you have your writing, your everyday writing practice. And your everyday writing practice requires 2 major areas of work. One is creating space and time in your schedule for thinking, writing, and publishing. Okay, so there has to be, most clients who come to us have this like super packed schedule, and they're just like working all the time. But their schedule doesn't reflect the things that are actually important to them and what they want to actually create in the world. So when you write your academic mission statement, you align all your activities behind that, you create a week that looks like it's and does support your academic mission statement, the work you're trying to accomplish in the world. When you have that, it is so exciting because you actually have time to think and you have time to write. And that means your publications can come out. So that level of like clearing decks, boundary holding, getting clear on what you are all about, and making tough choices, learning how to discern, like when projects come by, which they will increasingly, the better you get at amplifying your scholar's voice, the louder you are, the more awesome projects are going to come your way, and you're going to have to decide whether you can say yes or no. And if you don't know how to plan a writing project, if you don't know how to project plan really well, you might say yes to things you don't really have time to do. If you don't have your big, multi-project level map, which is your pipeline, you might take on things that you really shouldn't. But if you have this like very dialed in schedule and you really understand how long it takes you to do things, you can make such better choices that feel really empowering for you. And then finally, the last bit is also in that, day to day, week to week planning. And that is to develop a writing practice that is sustainable. And we call that the soaring system. It has various parts to it. And it really is what I think is like the most sustainable way to do academia, right? To do your writing inside of academia. So many times we're putting those publications on a pedestal, but we don't put our writing time or our writing craft on a pedestal. So we really have to be thoughtful and learn like how to use different tools to maintain a writing practice in the midst of a really up and down semester, right? Like weeks in the semester are not consistent. It's not like, every week is the same thing. It's actually different. And workloads some weeks are higher than workloads other weeks. And stress levels some weeks are higher than other weeks. And you need to have a writing practice that adapts to that. Or I guess you need to have a writing practice full of tools that you can wield in order to adapt to that. So when you have those things in place, what the scholarly life feels like is nourishing and joyful and exciting because you get to work on things that are like really like right down your alley and that you want to pursue. And this is all just to say that like with a little bit of work in all of these areas, you can be getting more publications out, which is going to amplify your voice in the world and increase your influence in your field. Now, the people that we work with in our programs have a unique perspective on their field. It's often a disruptive perspective. We work with a lot of people who are like, everybody has been thinking this way, but I know we need to think this way. And those kinds of publications are what's going to continue to really move fields forward. And so that's why I love our clients, who come to us and work with us, because they have this like kind of disruptive perspective on their field. They're really looking to do things differently. And maybe what they don't realize until they finally decide to join our programs is that if you want to make your field different, you have to make yourself different. Like you have to change the way that you live academia. You have to do it differently. And that is a key part to having that really outsider, different, unique perspective on your field. It's that like comes with or is supported by deciding to do academia differently, like not just relying on overwork, not digging yourself into the ground, not doing things that are going to burn you out or that have burned you out before, but you don't know any other way. Like the kind of level of scholar that we want to work with and who come through our programs are people who are making a big difference in their little niche area of study. And what they realize when they come out of our programs is that being able to make that difference, having that louder voice, that more influential, sometimes disruptive, knowledge-making voice in your field, along with that, or to support that, you have to do academia differently. There's no other way. In order to sustain it, you have to also accept and learn how to do academia differently than people before you have done it, because the old ways of doing it do not work. If the pandemic taught us anything, we knew it before the pandemic, but if the pandemic taught us anything, we learned that the old way of doing things is not the only way. So, with that said, I hope that you found some kind of inspirational nugget in today's episode. And I just want to invite anyone who feels like that, who you feel like, yeah, I have something different to say. I have a disruptive perspective on my field. I am unique and I got a lot of papers that are partially done. I need to get them out. Then Navigate is the program for you. And we are accepting applications right now. You can find the link in the description for our program. It's a 12-week program. And right now, if you're watching this in real time or live or close to live, then we are accepting applications for the summer session of Navigate. It's a 15-week session. It runs from mid-May and ends on August 4th. So it starts May 15th, ends August 4th. And we have a rigorous application process for our Navigate program because we carefully curate the community, because we want people like this. We want people with a disruptive perspective on their field, who are trying to do things differently, who are really looking to make knowledge and make a change, and know that, yeah, academia isn't all peer-reviewed articles and books, but those things are important for us to get into the world, to support the other things that we want to do. So our application starts with a quick 5-minute application. Then we send you a self-assessment, which takes another 10 minutes or so. And if we feel like you're a good fit, then we will extend to you an invitation to join. Enrollment closes on May 12th, so you definitely want to start that application process as soon as possible. I can't wait to see who comes into this next amazing cohort of Navigate. So definitely apply today. And remember that we are here to support you amplifying your scholar's voice. You can do it. This is how we are going to change the world. And I can't wait to see you inside of Navigate and on our next summer writing prep series video, of which this is one part. So go ahead and find that YouTube playlist. You'll find our summer writing prep series. This is the inspirational one of the videos. We get nitty gritty talking about how-tos. For example, our next video is going to be how to unclog your publication pipeline. So you're definitely going to want to tune in for that. Go check out our playlist and our YouTube channel, and we'll see you soon. Bye.